Welcome to another episode of the Knits and Burls podcast. My name is Annie and I'm coming to you from Katy, Texas, where I live with my husband and our 3 children, soon to be 4. If this is your first time, welcome. I'm so glad that you are taking some time to check out my channel. This is a podcast all about knitting and crafting and whatever other making fun I get up to. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I can't wait to share with you what I made in the month of June. So it is officially summer break here. I have one kiddo who just finished kindergarten and the rest of my children are too young for school yet, but we do a university model Christian and classical school out here that we have totally fallen in love with. It's a really nice blend. They go on campus twice a week and then I homeschool the rest of the week. So my schedule has opened up quite a bit, which is really nice. And as a result, I have been knitting away at all of my projects and thankfully was able to knock a few things off the needles. And yeah, I can't wait to share them with you. I hope that you're having a good June and July season wherever you are, and that you are getting a lot of crafting in. So like I said, I was able to get a few projects off my needles. I actually have 4 finished objects to share with you today, which is quite a bit, but a few of them are pretty small. So I'll share with you what I had cast on last time that we spoke. The first being a pair of socks for my daughter. So she is almost 2 years old, and I knit her some really cute little Christmas socks. I used mustache yarn in their hard candy colorway, and then this is a skein of Taupe Frost by Hello Sister Yarn Co. Unfortunately, they don't dye anymore, but this is the only skein that I have of theirs, so I used it for the contrast colors. And then this was a color from Playful Day yarns that I had in my basket of minis. So yeah, they are done. Aren't they so cute? I have enough yarn to make myself a pair, which I really hope to be able to get to this year. I was a little bit nervous that this Taupe Frost wasn't going to coordinate very well with the rest of the skein, but then I got down to the toe and that color was in the skein of yarn, which matches so perfectly with the Taupe Frost, and that's why I chose blue for the toe, because I didn't want to have a really long toe of just this neutral color. So yeah, I have another pair of socks complete for her. These will be her Christmas socks if I didn't say that. So I cast on 48 stitches on a size 1 American or US 1 needle, and then I just measured them on her foot as I went, and I made it a bit longer since she won't get it until this winter. So yeah, these are complete. Oh, and I followed the shadow wrap heel. That's been my go-to heel for my kids lately. It's just so easy and fast, and once you get going with it, I feel like I hardly have to refer to the pattern, so that's really nice to be able to do. Another pair of socks that I finished this month were a pair of socks for my middle son. I don't know if I had these cast on last time, but if you haven't watched before, I'm trying to knit. I have a 6 and 4-year-old boys, and I'm trying to knit both of them each a pair of birthday socks, Christmas socks, and Halloween socks. So this was my second one's Christmas socks. And this is in beautiful yarn. This is from PNWPURLSCO. This is her Merry Krampus colorway. I just love her yarn. I used her yarn for their Halloween socks too. And I can't get over how saturated and vibrant these colors are. They're so pretty. I love them. And she sells the coordinating minis if you want to purchase them to go with the yarn. So it's this exact green. I love it. For his, I cast on 52 stitches on a US one again. And yeah, then I just, for their birthday socks, I kept measuring it against their foot, you know, having them stick their foot in before I did the toe. And then I've been using that as a template. So I'm hoping that they either haven't noticed that I've been knitting these or that they may forget about them whenever the time comes. My oldest son has already been talking about, I don't have any hand knit socks that fit me. I'm like, oh no, shucks, bud. If only you had a mom that knit. I don't know. So I think they'll be really excited to get these, and I hope to surprise them a little bit. But they for sure know about the birthday socks. Maybe they don't know when they're getting them. We'll see. So the third finished object that I have to share with you today, I for sure had cast on last time. Like I mentioned earlier, we're expecting our fourth, and we found out that it's a boy. So I wanted to knit him something, and I chose the Sawtooth quilt bonnet, which is a pattern by Fox and Folk, I believe is what their handle is. I actually have it on a cake of yarn to show you because it fits, it forms pretty well, and it kind of holds its shape. But I just wanted to show you how it'll look, you know, with the baby's head on it. But I'll take it off and show you more. I knit this in Knit Picks palette. I will have to put the yarn, the colorway names up here because I can't remember off the top of my head what it was. This is like a lighter fingering weight yarn, which the pattern I believe called for a heavy fingering or a sport weight. So what I did to accommodate for the finer yarn was I just went down a needle size. I'm due in October, and so I kind of wanted it to be a little bit smaller anyways. I'm hoping that this will fit him maybe when he's like 3 to 6 months is what I'm assuming the size is. And yeah, I think that, you know, going down a needle size worked fine. This is such a fun pattern, and it's definitely, you know, I didn't do a perfect job on it. I knit this in only a couple days, I think, but it was so much fun to knit on and then assemble all of these pieces that I could not slow down. So if I had slowed down, then I probably would have done a better job piecing it together, but I think that it's really charming, and you know, the purpose is to keep his head warm, and it'll definitely do that. The only modification I made, which I spoke about this last time, I saw another Ravelry user on her project page mentioned how to knit the I-cord a little bit different than the pattern. So the pattern wants you to knit the whole I-cord and then seam it right here. But what I did instead was I knit this part of the I-cord, and then how did I do it? Now I'm like having a hard time remembering. I think I kept live stitches right here. And if I didn't do that, then I picked up the stitches as I went. But I'm pretty sure I had live stitches on my needles after I finished the ribbing. And then, so then I knit the live stitches with the I-cord. And then I finished off the I-cord on that side. And then that way I wasn't having to seam it on it, and then I just did the stitches. I hope that makes sense. I don't think I'm explaining that very well. But I did put notes in my Ravelry page, so if you're interested in learning or seeing how I did that, I feel like I explained it better on there. It's been a minute since I knit this and finished it, so I can't totally remember how I did it. It's always so much easier, you know, whenever you're sitting with the project and it's right in front of your face. And now I'm second guessing myself. But I for sure knit the I-cord, and then almost like an applied border is how I attached the rest of the I-cord and then finished it off. So yeah, it's done, and it's so cute. And I've just been keeping the ends tied and then hanging it up as display. So for blocking this, I followed another Ravelry project page, her recommendation to block it on a bowl. So I took a clip of how I did that. I just, you know, got it nice and wet, and then I had a larger, almost like cereal bowl, and then I placed this over it, and it worked perfect to keep its shape so that, you know, this star got nice and smooth, and now it's kind of in the shape of a baby's head. So yeah, I really enjoyed this project, and if I have time, I'd love to make another one. I think it'd be really cute to make for my toddler daughter, like in thicker yarn, or she has multiple sizes that go up. So yeah, we'll see if I have time to do that one. And if I do, I'll probably try to slow down more and get the star a little bit more symmetrical. But we'll see. It's charming, like I said. So my final finished object that I have to share with you is actually a really big one. Well, yeah, I'd say it's a big one, especially compared to those first three. If you have not watched, I have a video called Frog It or Finish It. And in that video, I went through all of my languishing whips that I have. It's quite a bit, and it's a little bit embarrassing, but in that video, I share my vulnerability, and I open up my yarn cabinet and show you what works in progresses I have that I have not finished. And last month I was really inspired to pick one of them up. I just really wanted to knit on a shawl, and I knew I had quite a few shawls already on the needles, so I really just couldn't justify casting on a new one. So I picked one that was really catching my eye and inspiring me. It's like the perfect spring color palette, and I was just feeling that inspiration from everything being bright and beautiful outside. So I decided to pick it up, and I finished it rather quickly. Let me get it for you. So here it is. This is the Color Craze shawl. Is it by TAMY GORE? I'm not sure. I will for sure put her name up here. It's this really beautiful brioche and garter and eyelet stitch shawl that works so well to use up minis. So where I had it at before I put it in its bag and just stuck it in the cabinet for whatever reason, I was right at this part right here, that darker blue. Right here. So when I picked it up, all I had was this brioche section and then the striping section and the garter. And then that was it. So I finished it rather quickly. Like I said, I was just really inspired to work on it. And I'm so glad that I took the time to finish it. It's way too hot here in Texas to wear this, but it'll be nice to have finished whenever it does cool down eventually again. So the yarns I used, man, I should have brought the tag over here. Okay, it was a VERB for keeping warm. I think it was ANNAPURNA base, something like that. So it's naturally dyed yarn that my friend Laura got me for either Christmas or my birthday a few years ago. And then all the rest of the yarn, except for this dark orange, Laura and I actually dyed up together. So Laura dyes yarn as part of her business, and so, you know, for years she's had the equipment to do it, and then a few years ago her and I just had fun in the dye pots and dyed up these minis to go with my full skein. So I was really inspired by Emma from Woolly Mammoth Fiber Co. Her Color Craze shawl. She made kits for it quite a few years ago, and I loved hers. But at the time I couldn't afford her yarn, at least not a whole kit of it. And so Laura and I got to have fun and create our own colors. This dark orange actually is from Emma. This is her natural sock, and it is in the turf colorway. We originally dyed up a light pink to go right there, and when I had it all lined up together, I was afraid that this was going to look too much like my main color. But now that it's finished, I probably would have just left the light pink, because this one's a little bit, I don't know if harsh is the word, but it's a big contrast from the more pastel colors of the rest of the shawl. But overall, I think it's really pretty, and you know, when it's wrapped up around your neck, it looks great. I actually don't know how you're supposed to wear this. This is the cast on edge, and it almost creates a little bit of a point, but not really, but, and then, you know, you have your long bind off. So I'm not sure if you flip it and wear it like this. That might be how you wear it. And then you have the long tails dangling down. So yeah, it's so cute. I really love the colors. I would love to knit another one that are more fall colors. I have a mini skein set from Knotty Pine Fiber Co., which is one of my favorite dyers that I think would look really pretty as a color craze shawl. So maybe I'll knit that someday. But in the meantime, I am so happy to have this done and off the needles. I don't think I have anything else to say about it. I don't believe I made any modifications apart from maybe following the color sequences a little bit different. And yeah, that's it. So this is done. I'm so happy. And it was really fun to work on. And I think it's so silly that I put it in a bag for so long and didn't just finish it, but I'm glad that it's done now. And it's nice whenever you feel inspired that you can just sometimes draw on that inspiration and finish something up. So I really enjoyed doing that. So those are all of the projects I was able to finish this last month, but like I said, I felt like it was quite a bit. I've been knitting a ton lately, even though it's hot outside. Usually whenever the kids and I play outside, I try to knit on socks. So that's why I got 2 finished pairs of socks this month. So that was exciting. Let's get into what projects I'm currently working on. So I think I will first share with you a project that I had cast on last time that I shared with you. I am test knitting the LENNOX pullover for Anna of the Bluebird Box, and I am having such a great time with it. Let me preface this by saying I had to rip back quite a bit, about 4-5 inches on the yoke section, and that was not the pattern's fault. It was totally my fault, and it was really sad to do at first. Not because I felt like, you know, I had wasted time on it, because if you've watched my podcast before, I mentioned that this project is such a special project. It's the perfect combination of pattern and yarn for me. It's this timeless, boxy, oversized, warm, woolly sweatshirt, basically, that you're knitting, and really special yarn that I have. So I wasn't upset about that, about having to knit on it more, because I'll never be able to knit with this yarn again. But I was sad because I did not put a lifeline where Anna very wisely tells you, hey, this might be a good place to put a lifeline. I thought, nah, you know, I feel pretty confident. I had done a lot of math because I thought that my row gauge was off, and so Anna helped me do quite a bit of math to figure out the rate of decreases I needed to follow in order to get the correct yoke depth. But turns out my row gauge was not off. I was measuring incorrectly. So when I found that out and knew I needed to rip back, I was mainly just nervous that I wasn't going to be able to do it, because it's a really beautiful lattice stitch, but how the lattice stitch is made, there's only 2 rows out of every 12 that you can rip back to and be able to pick up successfully. So I was really nervous that I was not going to be able to accomplish that, at least not easily. But last weekend I went to the coffee shop for a few hours by myself, and it took me about an hour and a half to successfully rip back to where I knew I could correct my mistakes and pick the stitches back up. But I did it, and now I am plugging away at it again. So let me show you the project. So this is a bottom up construction. So you knit the sleeves first, and then you cast on the bottom hem, work your way through the body, and then join the sleeves and the body together. Work your yoke and your neckline. So right now I am working through the yoke. I was only like maybe 8 rows away from being done with the yoke before I realized, no, this isn't right. I've messed up somewhere. And so now I am working away again. Here it is. So like I mentioned, this is in Woolly Mammoth Fiber Co. yarn. This is in her limited edition Cumbria 4-ply that she released a few years ago. And I have it in the Enchanted Forest colorway, which is this absolutely beautiful blue. So like I said, I'm never going to be able to knit with this yarn again, and it is such a dream to work with. It's rustic, but it's not a rough sort of rustic. It's just, I've mentioned multiple times before, I love non-superwash yarn, especially for garments. It adds so much more to the experience for me, just the texture and the feel of it, and this yarn checks all those boxes. It's amazing. It's naturally dyed, which is just unbelievable to me, that you can get the depth with natural dye. So you actually knit this sweater inside out, and then at the end you flip it. So this is the inside of my work, and this is what will be showing when you wear it. Although Anna did say if you seam it correctly and you know, really take your time with it, that you could wear it either way. So that's my goal with it. I don't have a ton of seaming experience, but I think if I just go slow, really, I don't think that there's much. I know I have to graft the armholes at the end, so I don't think that there's a lot of seaming that needs to be done. And yeah, that's it. I don't know if I have much more to say about it. I'm hoping to get this finished by the end of July. That's my goal. The kids and I are going to go up to Missouri, which is where I was born, and spend a couple weeks there with my family. So I would prefer not to take this with me because it's almost a complete sweater, and that would be a lot to pack. Plus, my mom has a white cat that loves to snuggle with you, especially, you know, at the end of the night whenever you sit on the couch, which is where I do primarily most of my knitting during my trips to Missouri. So I would prefer her not to get a hold of this sweater. And yeah, I do need to figure out, so I'm 26 weeks pregnant now. And so, you know, my body's just changing, all in good ways, but to model this sweater for the pattern release, I need to figure that out a little bit, because obviously how it would look on my body right now is not what it would typically look like when I am not 6 months pregnant. So I need to figure out if I can maybe find someone to model it for me for pictures, or something like that. Or I don't know. I could model it, but you know, with the caveat being that this is on a pregnant woman, so it probably won't look the same on you as it does at me at this point. I'm knitting the 3rd size. I don't know if I said that, so that'll give me about 50 inches circumference. My normal bust size is about 38, so that's 12 inches of positive ease, which I believe Anna recommends anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of positive ease. So I'm really looking forward to having this sweater next winter when I'm, you know, fairly freshly postpartum and can kind of just cuddle up in a warm woolly sweatshirt. That sounds so great to me. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Hopefully next time I record, this is complete. So I will show you, I guess I'll show you my freshest cast on because that's one that I've been working on a lot lately. My grandma has had quite a few health issues this last year. And then she was one of 4 girls, the youngest, and her last living sister passed away in June. So I knew that, you know, it's one of those things that you don't really think about whenever you're the youngest sibling. And really up until this year, her health has been she's been in amazing health. And so I know that's been really hard for her to outlive most of her family and friends. So when my aunt passed away, I decided to knit my grandma a shawl. The first shawl I ever knit was actually, I gave it to my grandma. And it looked really similar to this shawl, but it was in like a light gray color. And I don't remember what pattern I used or yarn, but it may have been like 100% acrylic. So I asked her what color shawl she would want if I knit her another shawl. And she said either black or white. So I went to, I believe it was Joann's that I found this yarn at. I've heard about this yarn quite a bit just from other podcasters. I think Amber from A Lovely Yarn talked about it in one of her podcasts. She knit a shawl using this, and I was really intrigued to try it. It's called the Comfy Cotton Blend. Sorry if that's backwards, I'm not sure. This is by Lion Brand. It is 50% cotton and 50% polyester. So I went to Joann's and I saw they had white, and then they had like this kind of brownish gray that I didn't think that would really work as black. So I chose the white, and I figured that'll be easier for me to work on anyways. Yeah, and I'm really enjoying the yarn. It was very affordable. You know, I had a coupon, which is always great. I love that the big box stores, you can always find a coupon. So I am knitting the Boneyard Shawl by Stephen West. This is actually a free pattern on Ravelry. It's this really simple, like stockinette stitch shawl that every 12 rows you get a little garter blip in it. So here it is. This has been one of my main projects. This and the LENNOX pullover have been taking up most of my knitting time. I am actually getting pretty close to finishing this. Granted, the rows are getting longer, but you have 14 of these ridges to do, and I believe I just completed number 9. So I have 5 more to go, and then you have a little garter stitch border at the end of it. So I will definitely be able to finish this for my grandma before I go and visit her at the end of this month. And it's been really nice to work on it and just think of her and pray for her, and yeah, just spend some time thinking of the last year and how difficult it's been for her. It's been hard. That's one of the hardest things about not living close to my family, is when they go through rough times, I can't physically be there. And that has been very evident this last year. She spent some time in the ICU, and yeah, it was just difficult. So I'm glad that I will be able to give this to her soon. And I think that this is a really nice blend of yarn to use to give it to her in July, because she does get really cold in the winter. So I would have liked to knit her like a woolly one, which I might do in the future, but I think that this will be nice. She could actually wear it now, so that'll be nice for her to have. This is a little stitch marker I wanted to show off. This is by my friend Laura of the Back Porch Fiber Co. So it's really pretty. I believe it's like epoxy and wood, but they're like modern chic looking is what I think. I really like them, and they're super lightweight because I dislike strongly whenever stitch markers are so heavy that they pull on your knitting and kind of distort the stitches, but I have not experienced that at all with Laura's. So I think that's all I had to say about that project. I'm not doing any modifications. He has like a fingering and a DK weight version, so I'm just following the DK weight version, although I think this yarn may be a little bit thicker than DK or lighter. I can't remember. It's working out fine though on the size 7 needles that he recommends. So that is going quickly, and that's another project I hope to have finished before I leave for Missouri. Definitely have to have it finished because that's going to someone as a gift. So I only have 2 more projects to share, and these haven't been getting as much time as those first 2 that I showed you, just because I'm on a bit of a deadline with them. I've actually really enjoyed with Stephen West's shawl. It's each little garter or ridge part is 12 rows, and so each day I've been trying to do 12 rows on that. And then with my LENNOX pullover, if I have time, I like to try to do 12 rows on that, because it's to do the lattice stitch you have to do 6 rows of it, and so I try to do 2 lattice stitches a day. So if I like complete those 12 rows on each project, then I kind of get to treat myself to a different project, or honestly I usually just start on the next day's goals with those projects. The other one that's been getting more attention than my last one that I'll share with you are my son's Halloween socks. And this is just because, like I said, it's so hot here. It's humid and in the hundreds. So anytime that we go outside, I don't really want to put a shawl, even though it's cotton and polyester. And I definitely don't enjoy working on that woolly sweater outside. I've been knitting on socks. So these are my son's Halloween socks. This is the PNWPURLSCO yarn again. This is her, oh, I just blinked, Monster Mash. Yeah, Monster Mash colorway. So this is Jackson's last pair of socks that I have to finish. And actually, I'm only going to do 1 more stripe and then start the heel. I wanted to do the heel in black, but I'm getting really close to running out of the black. And yeah, I only have this bit left. So my sons wear really similar size socks. So these are Jackson's Halloween and then Jackson's Christmas. So I wanted to do, you know, this sage color for his Christmas and then black for his Halloween. And then my son Dawson's, I'll actually share this with you. I have like a little box of socks that I'm keeping for the kids just because I'm trying to keep them hidden away. I got a new journal recently and it came in this box, and it was so, like, it was a really nice quality box that I couldn't just throw it away. And then I've been just stuffing their socks in my yarn cabinet whenever I finish them, so I figured, oh, this would be a great way to keep it organized. And then since my boys have such similar sized feet, I've been keeping them in plastic bags so I don't get them mixed up. I apologize for the crinkling a second, hold on. So for my son Dawson, who's my oldest, his Halloween socks have the bright green, and then I wanted his Christmas socks to have the black. I'm not sure if it'll work out, but in my head, I think when I'm folding laundry, I'll know, okay, one of them gets the fun accent color, and then their coordinating pair of socks that goes with the same boy has the black, and then vice versa. I'm hoping that works out, but we'll see. And then, yeah, these are their birthday socks. So see, Jackson has the blue, and then Dawson will have the red. Honestly, I took pictures of these, and obviously for Ravelry, I try to keep up with that to categorize my projects. And so I'm probably going to have to refer to those project pages the first few times that I do laundry after giving them these until I can remember whose is whose. But yeah, so that is really flying off the needles. So like I said, I'm just going to do the orange stripe, and then I'll put a green heel in, and then it'll have the purple stripe as the first stripe on the foot. So it'll technically be one stripe smaller than, like, of a leg than his Christmas socks, but I doubt that he notices. So I think it'll work out, and I'm really trying to not have to purchase any more yarn to go just to finish the heel. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm trying to use the colors that I already purchased to go with it. So these are the little box of socks that I have for all my kids. And it is so satisfying to finish a pair and put them in here and then hide it away for the winter. So I really only have one more work in progress to share with you that I've been actually making progress on. If you have watched the podcast before, you know I'm trying to knit my daughter a baby blanket. This is like the saga of baby blankets. I don't know why this thing is so hard for me to do, but I think it's because I don't love the yarn. I just don't love the feel of it. This is it right here. And her blanket is in here. I'll share it very briefly because I have most episodes. This is the Color Block Bias Blanket by Pearl SOHO, and it has 6 colors, so you do 6 colors the first half and then repeat the same 6 colors the other half. So I made it my goal that I was going to break the blanket up into quarters. So get 3 colors done on this, and then in this basket I have the baby's blanket that I spoke about last time I purchased yarn for from Pearl SOHO. Their linen quill yarn, I got a kit for it to make the 4 corners baby blanket, I want to say is what it's called, and I did cast that on. But since making those goals with the sweater and the shawl, I haven't knit on this a ton, but it's a really nice project to work on whenever my husband and I are watching TV or something at night. I feel like I can get a lot done in one sitting. And I haven't worked on it that much, but I'm definitely, making good progress. So you cast on here, and then this is a free pattern. So every other row you decrease on one side, and then it's creating this angle. And then I believe you pick up stitches maybe on this side or something, and then you do the same thing. And so you do it 4 times, 4 different colors. So I made it my goal. I really enjoy working on this yarn. I think, if you watch knitting podcasts, you've probably heard of this yarn. It's really popular, and it's really fun to work on it. It has a beautiful texture, and it's just really easy on my hands, which I think is why I don't love my daughter's blanket, because that yarn isn't super easy on my hands. So I made it my goal that for every color of his blanket, I have to knit 3 colors of her blanket, and I don't get to move on to the next color in his blanket until I complete hers. So there you go. I'm on color 1 of his, color 3 of hers, and once I finish that shawl and sweater, I'm hoping to make like similar daily goals with those blankets to try to knock them out in a timely fashion. So yeah, if you have any tips for that on how I could figure out, you know, how many rows to knit each day or something like that. I really like that mind game of, you know, breaking it down into small goals and then accomplishing those goals. And then obviously, you know, if you do that day in and day out, you finish your projects. So after these couple projects, I'm really hoping to get more into the baby blankets. I did purchase a few yarns this last month, or couple months. They came in, you can see them right here. So I've been really trying hard to hone in my yarn purchasing. I've spoken about this before, just being mindful about what purchases I make and slow down my acquisitions. Yeah, acquisitions. You know, because for every skein of yarn I get out of my stash, I can't really bring 3 more in or whatever. It's just not sustainable. So I've definitely been more mindful and conscious of what I am bringing into my stash. But I did purchase these few. So after my kiddos' socks, I'm really excited. I'm going to knit myself a few pairs of socks. And that is what this yarn is for. So this is in a beautiful bowl that my husband actually made for me a couple years ago. I can't remember what wood he used, but I'll put it here. And he considered making these and selling them. Right now he's just way too busy with his actual job. But we've made a few he has made a couple as gifts, and they are so beautiful. And I don't carry this around the house with me and knit from it just because of my daughter. So she's 1 and she's kind of untrustworthy, but hopefully one day when we're out of the toddler stage, I would love to be able to knit from this more. I typically just have it on display, like on a shelf, and I get to admire its beauty and display fun yarn in it. So I feel like I've really, at least right now, I mean, my kids are like constantly growing, but I feel pretty confident in knitting them socks with the sizes of their feet right now. Like, I feel confident that I'm going to give them those socks as gifts this winter and they will actually fit. And I would love to find the same thing with my socks. I just haven't knit myself a lot of socks, but I've become a much more confident sock knitter in the last year or so that I'd like to take the time to try and do that and knit myself a few pair. So let me show you what I purchased. This is DK weight socks, or DK weight sock yarn, which I'm really excited to experiment with. I am participating in the Crazy Sock Lady summer sock knit along, or summer sock camp. And she recently had a shop update with some of her summer sock specialty stuff, and this was a part of it. So this is a DK weight sock blend by Leap of Faith yarns, and this is in her Toasting Marshmallows. I think this is such pretty yarn, and it's like, I could totally see her inspiration behind that. Kind of like the orange reminds me of the campfire, and then the black, you know, whenever you accidentally char your marshmallows. My husband loves that. Are any of you guys like that? I do not like charred marshmallows. I like them, yeah, I like them when they're soft and not burnt, but he loves burnt marshmallows, which I think is crazy. And he would rather eat marshmallows than the actual s'mores. Another thing, I don't understand that. But I'm excited to experiment with this. I've never knit DK weight socks. So if you have any tips or tricks or favorite patterns, I would love to hear about them. And here's the other one that I got. This is from Flower Hill Fleeces in her Honey Lavender Latte colorway. Oh, I love this color. This is on her MCN base. 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. So I learned about this yarn from Amber of a Lovely Yarn podcast. I believe that she is neighbors with this dyer, and I want to say that she knit a pair of socks out of these. And purple is one of my favorite colors. And once again, I can totally see her inspiration behind this Honey Lavender Latte. Like that, oh, that sounds really good too. And I don't love lavender in drinks, but I would take a Honey Lavender Latte. So I think I'm gonna knit, now I'm blanking on the patterning. I'll put it up here. I just purchased this sock pattern. It's from Olivia of This Handmade Life, and it has these really pretty eyelets throughout the sock, which I have never put eyelets into a sock pattern, so I think I will have fun experimenting with that. And then my final purchase, this was the first time I've purchased from any of these dyers, but this one is, this one's probably my favorite. When I got it, I texted my friend Laura and I was like, oh, it might be too pretty to knit socks with. Are any of you guys like that? I have a really hard time if a yarn is too pretty. I feel like I can't knit socks out of it and wear it on my feet. Please tell me I'm not the only one. But I think I've decided I'm gonna do it. I bought this to knit socks. I have I really want to knit the Hermione'S Everyday Socks. I've never knit that pattern. It's free on Ravelry. I feel like it's super popular, and I can just see, I can see that pattern in this yarn. So I'm gonna do it, but this yarn is so pretty. So this is a Knitter's Homestead yarn. This is in her Gardenia colorway, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. 400 yards, 100 grams, which is definitely my favorite base for socks. It's so pretty. I think this is going to be really pretty for those Hermione'S Everyday Socks. Do you see that pop of purple? Oh, I just love it. So I think I'm going to wind this up soon and take these to Missouri with me. So pretty. And actually in that package, I was so surprised, she sent me a little progress keeper to go along with it, so I am definitely going to put that on my socks. I loved that. That was a huge surprise and very generous, and it matches so well with the yarn. So yeah, those are the yarns that I purchased recently and that are totally inspiring me to knit myself a pair of socks. I think that might be all I have to share with you today. I'm trying to think if I left anything out, but I'm looking around and I think I covered everything. I hope that you're having a really good summer, if it's summer where you are, or whatever season you're in. I hope you're having a good July. I was gonna mention, if any of you are interested in me talking about books that I read, I was considering doing that towards the end of a podcast, just recapping maybe what I read that month. I'm a reader, but definitely with a lowercase r, not a capital R. I'm not a fast reader. I don't have a ton of time for reading, but I do try to make time every day to read. So I do get through a couple books a month, and if it's of interest to anyone, I could discuss that at the end of the podcast. And then if you're not interested, then you could just not stay for it and I wouldn't be offended. So yeah, if that is something that any of y'all are interested in, let me know and I would consider doing that. So I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. I hope that you are getting a lot of crafting time in, and I'd love to know if any of you make small goals, like small daily goals like I've been doing recently to try to get through bigger projects. I've been surprised at how helpful and inspiring that has been. So I'd love to hear if any of you guys do that. And if you do, if you have any tips, to make it more fun or easier to break down a pattern. I'm just considering those baby blankets. It's a lot of just garter stitch, and I'm not totally sure how to calculate how many more rows I have to do on each project to break it down in an equal way, but I figured I'll just knit like X amount of rows each day and then see if that's even viable to get to that amount every day, and if it is, then I'll try to keep it up until they're finished. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. I really appreciate you spending time with me, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.